Hey everyone, welcome back. It's really been a long time, and well, let me tell you about something that I've been working on. A game where you can create anything. At least speaking in terms of crafting and building 3D structures and geometries. In fact, let's not linger too much and allow me to share with you the story behind Project Lattice. Let's start from the beginning. So, I love sandbox games. I love these kind of games that allow you to build and do all that stuff. I love them so much that I can go full fangirl on it, spending hours building the most average farm with a really wholesome community that cannot exist IRL, going on a one-day gaming spree, building the perfect home for your Sims only to be never played in the end, creating the most beautiful utopia with parks and wonders which can never be visited due to complete traffic blockage. And who can forget the relaxing and peaceful feeling in Minecraft building your cozy dream home on a rainy day? What's that noise? I want one. I want my own game like that. So yeah, let's make a AAA game where you can build and design your own world with. That would have happened if I had made this some time back. But as a person who has started 3 commendable sized projects with no dedicated or promised deadlines, I am now matured. So let's keep it simple this time and make a small yet an innovative game for everyone. Let me think of a good idea. And after an intense thinking session, the Indian inside me has one of the nerdiest idea ever, and that is lattice. So, lattice is a term used to represent a regular grid made of points or dots, which is often used in mathematics and science to study patterns and structures. What a nerd thing to know. Or if you ever been in chemistry class and have seen those crystal structures with bunch of dots connected to each other, well, that's lattice. I guess so. It should be. Now, how does it align with our thing? Well, the idea of the game is to create points or dots in a 3D grid like environment in a planar fashion to create quads and triangles. Then, from the found points, create more tries and quads, then again and again, and so on, thus making our desired geometry. It's like a chain reaction, but less cool. I mean, let's move on. Also, a fun fact that this is my first game which I have made before its development even started. So, all sorted and good, everything was going smoothly, but when I was in the process of editing this video, things took a tragic turn. My hard drive got corrupted. I have failed you. So it had all the important data, including all of my game projects, although I had backups of them, but they were pretty old, like the Endless Runner backup dates almost 1.5 years back. The latest project was also lost in the hard drive. I tried to recover what I could, some things recovered, other things I had to recreate all of them. Maybe that's why I'm late for this video, because I had to almost create the game twice. Well, I learned some important lessons. Also, some recordings for this project were also lost in this incident, but I'll try my best to show as much as behind the developer scenes as possible. To create a successful game, we require proper planning. Concept art plays a crucial role in this process as it provides us with a visual foundation to build upon. My idea was to create a minimalist flat art style game with a beautiful and atmospheric tone, kind of like Monument Valley or maybe some bits inspired by Greece. So I started creating some artworks of an example build artworks, not sure if this is the correct term to say, and also some UI concepts which I wanted it to be simple, informative and really interactive. I think this looks good. We have a grid, yellow point which shows the points that is placed, blue to show the selected point, lines. Well, let's see how much of this will be in the final build. And things were progressing great, but as I was further editing this video, another catastrophe happened. My GPU is dead, and I have a gaming laptop. So yeah, that's GG. And the fact that it's a laptop makes it the worst. Like, seriously, don't ever buy a gaming laptop. I had to because of university. I wanted portability so I can work in college as well, but it has cost me so much to maintain it and also has cost me my sanity. Now, the solution is to change the whole motherboard, which is almost as expensive as buying a new one. The video is already delayed so much. Anyways, I bought a new PC. Ooh, that's awesome. Let's continue the video again. So, let's finally start our project then. This time I went for Unity HDRP to get those high fidelity graphics and features. For this project, I aligned the camera like a top-down isometric kind of view, as it should be, and played with some lighting to get an idea on how scene will look like. Trust me, things change drastically as you move towards the end. And as your most trusted, responsible game developer, I had the game plan laid out beforehand. Finally, let's actually start creating the game. So we need a way to control our view, and I was thinking of something like a RTS strategic camera, which you see in games like Age of Empires, Civilizations, City Skylines and similar games. And as with my other Unity game nowadays, I'm using Unity's new input system for this project because it's new, it has inputs, and it's a system. Or I guess it's more flexible, is good for setting multiple input devices and has more control options. So I basically made a camera controller where you can move around the world, zoom in, zoom out, and rotate the game view. Now my initial idea was to have a 3D grid around the view space, which sort of works like a coordinate system or something like object placement UI. It was basically to help players place points, and that kinda didn't happen. Now hold your horses. Before you say, oh, he can't even make a simple grid, let me explain myself. So I was able to create that 3D grid view, but if I rotate it slightly, yeah. I don't know about others, but if I saw something like this in a game, I am immediately reporting the developer and accusing him of committing war crimes. I need to change this. But first, let's begin by concentrating on our top priorities. It's time for our main gameplay loop, our point creation and geometry joining system, which was quite a challenge. For this, I required a concrete solution. So I had to come up with a simple algorithm of mine. Also, I was devising this algorithm with respect to the game's logic and conditions, so it could happen that this method could exist somewhere. I just haven't looked or don't know about this. So if there's a resemblance, then I have said that and I ain't a copycat. Enough talk, let me try to explain the algorithm in a way that would not hurt the retention. So I have prepared a presentation for you all. Hi everyone, welcome to the Laticinator #1. Today we'll see how the first algorithm, yes there are more, how the first algo in Lattice works. This logic is responsible for updating the points that are available for placing. So the point that it shows, let us create geometry that does not break the game. Let's say you have placed 2 points like this, so it will not allow you to place point here, otherwise you get a disfigured shape. Basically, the result geometry with this algorithm is linear quads and triangles with every orientation possible. The method works on a credit system. In the initial stage, you are given certain credits, that is 45, and every point placed linearly costs 11 credits and diagonally costs 15 credits. The available points are accounted for within these 45 credits. In simple words, the path that is placed should cost no more than 45 credits. To better understand this, let's see an example. Suppose we have our initial point. Now the game UI will show certain points that you can click to place and start creating the shape. There are, however, 2 conditions that should be met. First, the point should be a unit distance from the initial point, and I know there are some math wizards who are saying, but the diagonal points are not unit distant. Technically it's called adjacent point, but still I'll call it unit distance, distant, you get my point. So this is the first condition that is to be met. The available point should be unit away, and the second condition is that the point placing cost should be within the credits available. Initially this doesn't matter as we have all the adjacent points available to place. Now suppose I choose this point. The cost is deducted from the credits and we have this much credits available. Now again the condition, the available point should be only unit away from the initial point and the point we have placed recently. the second condition applies as well. Now let's say I choose this point. Now here we only have 2 points left. It's either this one or our initial point. You can see these points are not available, although they are adjacent to initial and current point. But according to our second condition, the path to complete this would not be within our credit limit. So this eliminates the cases of disfigured shapes. Now you have two ways to complete the mesh. Either choose the initial point which makes a triangle, or other point which will make a quad. That's it. That's how our main loop works. Also, if there's only one case left, then the game will auto-complete the shape. I know, pretty advanced stuff, you're welcome. Then I made it such that you can select any vertex point from the created model from where you can continue expanding the geometry. The points that are completely blocked in every direction are not included, otherwise things can become rough. Well, this was all on the technical side of things. Let's look at something more graphical also. At first, I was experimenting with different lighting for the scene, but due to the object looking different from various angles, I end up using an unlit material so the object doesn't change color like a chameleon. Now earlier in the video, if you remember, I attempted to make a grid for better visualization which didn't end up happening. Well, I found a workaround of that. What I ended up doing was to spawn lines from the point into the 3-axis which slowly fades with distance. Oh, that's satisfying. Now this still doesn't look that good, so I wrote a custom shader for it so that the grid lines that are further are less visible than those which are near. This was better as it gives some more sense of depth to make placing of points more convenient. Then the next thing I made was a color wheel or color selector, whatever you prefer. With this you can customize the color of the tri or quad you have just created. You can drag the window wherever you want, and you can type the hex code as well. You can reset the color. See, when I told you I was making a fully fleshed game, I wasn't lying. I don't believe in releasing unfinished projects. I believe in providing significant and accessible features like AAA games nowadays. Most AAA games nowadays. I also added some particle effects for when the point is created, need that for the feel, and a custom cursor like this because why not? Then it was time for our game's user interface. Now before even starting out this project, I had plans to put major focus on two things. One I'll be telling later in the video, and the other one is user interface. I don't mean it should be some crazy looking hand painted UI like something from, I don't know, game like League of Legends, Hearthstone. I needed a simple yet an interactive UI. So I went for a monotonic grey design which really fits with this game when combined with background blur shaders. I made them interactive by making custom buttons, toggle, drop downs and custom written menu select classes with good practices such as observer design pattern, twinning, although I'm not sure if Unity still dirties the canvas with animator, but still I find that workflow easy now. I also added gamepad support for my fellow laid back individuals, and yes, you can even customize the key bindings. Accessibility. And just like that, things were getting checked off our list really smoothly. Post-processing, game look bad, me at post-process, boom, color fix, chromatic aberration, film grain, graphic code, everyone like game, me go goo goo gaga. Undo system so that you have a chance to fix mistakes if you did something wrong, which I didn't have after choosing Gamedev. Color palettes so you can add your colors in different slots and quickly switch between them. More particles to enhance the visual experience. Change the background color. And a tutorial when starting out the game so people don't write hate comments on this video, and of course more UI work, why not? Screenshot. Wow, look at that menu opening. Cool, right? Well, that went quick. We have really covered most of the parts, and remember I said there were two things I was focusing on. The first thing was UI and the second thing is sound design. Sound is like the dark horse of the game. People don't expect it to really make a difference, but it does provide a whole lot of impact. We can see so much games that are what they are today because of their iconic music and sound design. So for a game like Lattice, whose gameplay is like building things, you can only do much with the gameplay. So the other aspects like interface and especially sound would have to do heavy lifting in order to make the game feel good. Specifically, when you're sitting for a prolonged time designing your objects, you need soothing music and satisfying sound effects to provide that relaxation element, like a Zen meditation with soft melodies and breathy gentle tunes resonating your ears, easing your heart. That's the vibe I'm going for. So I made a really long ambient track which can be divided into 4 parts that are played randomly at random intervals. This was something inspired from how the music in Minecraft works. It really gives a surprising element, and when you start hearing it, an emotion is stirred. So, because how important sound is for this project, I am using F mode for this one. It's my first time using this and I love the dynamics. Next, I started creating sound effects for the game, and just like music, I went for an ambient, reverby theme with classy kind of sounds. That's the explanation. Yes, if it makes sense. I also wanted the sounds to feel like it's a music of its own. That's why I used some cool and clever tricks like notes which were in the key with music, lo-fi ambiances, whooshes, and randomly stacked sounds to keep it refreshing every time. And just like that, everything was coming together, things were going great, the game was close to completion, but I think in the frenzy of adding content, I ignored the fundamental structure of the game. And with that came errors. So there are a bunch of errors, especially this overlapping of mesh. Like you can create something like this and the game will allow that. Currently how the game is set up, it's proving really difficult to debug this. I've tried brute forcing through errors, but it creates more problems than relief. I really need to do something about this. Things were not looking great. I was in dire need of a logical approach to this problem. The way I made lattice was surely very optimized, but tracking these kind of things were difficult. I might have to create the game again from scratch, and I was even close to dropping the game. But at the end, I saw a glimmer of hope. There was one thing that maybe could work, and that was something I never expected to come from. It was something you study in your math classes in schools, and that was equation of plane. But still there was a problem. The calculation it involved was too heavy, and we are talking about real time here. But dwelling more into that, I got a perfect solution which was optimized, and luckily it only works for our case of lattice where we have integral values. And the answer was parallel lines. Let's see an example of how I eliminate these cases of overlapping figures. Let's say there is this triangle and I make another one like this. Now the first step is to match how much points are overlapping. To go to the next step, at least 2 points should overlap. If only 1 point overlaps, then the figure is not in the same plane, and surely no case if there is not even a single common point. Now if there are 3 points common, then yep, it's straight overlapping. We only have to do further check for 2 points. Now here parallel lines help us. Let's make a side of these 2 points and another side of these 2 points. We check for these 2 lines whether they are parallel or not. If they are, then shapes lies in the same plane. If they are not, then they do not. And the calculation for parallel lines is not much, it's just the cross product of sides. So pretty feasible for real time. However, this thing only works for cases like lattice where point locations are integral values. If for others, you might be better using planar equations. That's how I fix those issues with maths. So kids, stay in school. Maths do help in making games. And with that covered, things were looking great. I felt really relaxed and accomplished after solving these problems. It's a very nice feeling when you overcome something in the situations where it seems agonizing. You just have to believe in yourself and learn from your mistakes. And that feeling of accomplishment made me motivated, and with the greatest renewed enthusiasm, I went on to complete the game. I added settings in the game so that you are in control and can adjust the experience according to you. So you want to continue building the project but have to go somewhere. Do not worry, I got you. I made a save system where you can later continue building. Don't know what color scheme to build upon? No worries, here are some creative color templates you can choose from. And just like that, more things kept getting added. There are so many ideas I would love to add and more, and in future I plan on doing this. But for now, we have a finished game in our hands. I'm really proud of what I was able to do in the end, and this is how I made a game which lets you create anything. Thanks for joining me on the journey of Lattice. I would love you to try the game for yourself. It's free and I can't wait to see what you guys make with it. I hope you'll like it. Please let me know how your experience was. Download it now, link is in the description.